I just wish that somehow we could know that when we are experiencing some of the greatest moments of our life, that we could in that moment know that we're experiencing some of the greatest moments of our life. And that's, I don't know that any of us can ever do that. But I would tell everyone, just really take time to sit back and join a ride, because it is some of the best times of your life. You might not know it during those moments, but really enjoy those moments.
Hey, I'm Corey Baldwin.
And I'm Daniel Bowles. We're back with a new Off the Beaten Path, a podcast for basketball coaches living in obscurity, working in obscurity, and even those who have made it out of obscurity.
It's a place where we do storytelling. Some of the stories we tell are true. Just some of them. We're trying to reconnect folks and connect folks. We're constantly learning, and it's a place for food for thought. And my favorite part, food for the belly. All right, today we got some special guests. We're going to deal with the old North Georgia Saints, now the Nighthawks, but we're going to deal with the past here a little more than the future. And a lot of it ties in with Chris Faulkner, who's on here, played there, coached there as an assistant and a head coach. We got Joe Dix, who played there, Vincent Rossre, who also played there, and they're both have been in and out of coaching. And then we got X, as I always call him, Xavier Trice, who played there as well. And he's the new guy. He's the rookie in the panel. And we think Jason Gibson's going to join us, but he's the big-time principal now, so he's trying to fit us in his schedule. He also played there and was an assistant there for a little while. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. We're going to start with we'll start with Rossre. All right, Rossre, we're going to go to you, man. Tell us about, how did you get to North Georgia as a player, and then what happened after that?
Me and Joe, we played at DeKalb College under Coach Barksdale, who was alumni of North Georgia. And once I finished there, I needed somewhere to go. And Coach just Coach made a phone call up there to Randy Dunn. Said he had a player, and from there, I went up there, tried out, and did what I was one of the older guys on the team. I had been in the military at first, the Marine Corps. Then I went to junior college. Then I went to North Georgia. One of the reasons I wanted to go to North Georgia because it was a military college at that time. I was thinking about becoming an officer, but basketball took a different made me take a different track. And after graduating from North Georgia, I became a middle school basketball coach in Fayette County. Then I got the opportunity to coach at the high school. And then from there, I landed at Henry County, where I was for the last 15 years. And I think I did a pretty good job down there. And that's sort of my path, how I got to North Georgia and where I'm at now. So right now I'm the head coach at Stone Mountain High School. And I also run a sports facility in Stone Mountain also.
So you actually may be one of the few in this panel here that did anything with the military at a military school.
Yeah, well, I didn't get I should have went on here and went that route. I'll probably be retired officer right now.
Yeah. Hey, your son may have went to Army or Navy instead, though. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. He hard here. He might not have made it. So.
All right, well, let's go to Joe Dix then. So y'all were teammates twice. Okay, at two different spots. Tell us a little bit about your path, Joe.
Oh yeah, I was not. We were not teammates
No.
at DeKalb. We met and found out we both played there after he came.
Oh, okay.
But I played, like you said, for Coach Barksdale, who once again went to North Georgia himself and played, and that's kind of where my journey started. I went to North Georgia and I played 3 years. I actually was in the Corps of Cadets for 2 years of that time, but I did not commission either, and that led to graduating, and I got a job teaching elementary school at White Sulphur Elementary in Gainesville, and Seth Vining needed a 9th grade assistant. And I became his 9th grade assistant and kind of worked my way up, and was able to follow him as the head coach at East Hall after all of his success, and stayed there for 22 years. And then 3 years ago, I stepped out on faith and just wanted to do something a little different. And so I'm now the head coach at Collins Hill High School over in Swanee, and we're in our 3rd year there. So it's been a great journey. Can't believe it's 25 years in, but you know, North Georgia was a great place for me and helped shape who I am.
Awesome. Hey, but before we move on to the next guys to tell their path, what was the difference? You and Rossre can answer this, between Randy Dunn and Barksdale. What were the differences? Was that a loaded question?
Hey, the words that came out of Barksdale mouth, Randy couldn't compare to those.
Coach Dunn was a little easier going.
Yeah.
Coach Barksdale. Let's just put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Barksdale.
Both of them, but you know, they were different. Definitely.
Yeah.
Barksdale's known for sweating through his suits during games.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go to Jason Gibson, the principal. He's come in. He had to do some discipline stuff, I'm sure. But all right, Jason, let's go to you. Now you played on the same team with those guys. Is that correct?
I graduated in 95, 96. And then so Rossre and Joe and that whole group. Yeah, we had a lot of good times. It was a lot of fun.
So tell us a little bit about, you know, how did you get there and where did you go afterwards? Kind of your path to where you are now.
My path to North Georgia started by way of West Georgia. I actually signed and played there my freshman year. And then the guy that recruited me there got let go 4 games into our season. Absolutely crazy times at West Georgia then. So I left and came back up and played, had known Chris Faulkner, had met him while we played against each other in high school, and just kind of had a relationship with him. And so he was coaching there, and found my way back to North Georgia, played there for the next 3 years, and then stayed on as an assistant with Randy. Chris had taken the Piedmont job at the time and had opened up a spot. And so I stayed there as a GA 1 year with Chris and Randy, and then stayed there for 8 years as an assistant. And then 1 year with Chris when he came back, and then moved on to Emmanuel College for a year, and then found my way back home to Jefferson and was coaching girls there for 14 years. Well, 13 years. So, and then decided to hang the whistle up for a little while and go over to the administrative side of things. And I've been here at Dawson. This is my 3rd year at Dawson County now as an assistant principal athletic director.
Would you say Randy Dunn, Coach Dunn, molded you as a coach, or would you say you took some things and said, hey, I'm not going to do those things? Which one, or a little bit of both?
I would say we probably learned a lot on both sides of that. I think when you're a young coach and you see things as a player, and then you get a chance to coach kind of in that same environment, I think you just naturally, your just human nature kind of tends to lend you to picking and choosing the things that you like and that you don't like. So to say that he molded me, I mean, I do think that I learned a lot of things from him. He taught us all a lot of valuable lessons. Randy was great at teaching the game of life, I feel like. And then as far as coaching and the basketball things, everybody that loves the game has their ideas and about things that they like and don't like. So I took all the things that I liked from Randy and things that I liked from Chris, and then things that I had learned from camps and other clinics and coaches, and just tried to come up with what fit the kids that we had where I was at. So lots of things go into that.
Or he took all my defensive stuff with him. Yeah, that's
I don't think I learned much defense at North Georgia. That was we were not that wasn't my job. Let's put it that way.
Gibson, no, he ain't know nothing about no defense.
I learned how to say help.
Yeah.
All right, let's take it over. We're gonna go fast forward a little bit. We're talking to all these old heads. Let's talk to a little bit of a younger guy here. We're gonna go to you, X. So you come in, and you don't play for Randy Dunn. You play for Chris Faulkner, head coach. So tell us a little bit about your path there. I know your path's a little different.
Oh yeah, extremely different. I went to first junior college in Alabama at Southern Union. Played there for 1 season. Then I wasn't playing basketball anymore. And I met Ben Hicks like before when I was just trying to get in school. And it just so happened I moved to Columbus, and he was assistant at Chattahoochee Valley. And I was just going playing pickup. He asked me, did I ever get back into school? I told him no. You know, he made a call to either Coach Faulkner or I think he made Coach Faulkner. Did he call you or he called?
Yeah, he called me.
Yeah, he called him. He said, got me a tryout. You know, I went up there. I think it was a crazy thing. Bryce came and picked me up from my house, brought me up. I had went up there and played, and then after we finished playing, Coach offered me a scholarship. You know, and that was it. As far as like playing, I stayed there. I played 3 years, 2.5, I think, because I only had, you know, some semesters were kind of crazy. I ended up having 1 semester left. I came back and played 1 year. Then after I finished, I started teaching. I was assistant at Lovejoy High School for like 3 years. We went to the Elite Eight like twice in that time. After those 3 years, I got a head job at Riverdale for 1 year. I wasn't even in the building. I was working at Lovejoy, head coach at Riverdale for 1 season. Yeah, man, this is crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. So after that year, they didn't have a spot for me in the building, so I went and took another assistant job at East Coweta. I was there for 2 years. Now I'm at the head girls coach at Langston Hughes. It's my 4th season. We went to the Final Four last year, won the region twice. So yeah, that's my path, man. From there, I want to end up at North Georgia, man, because Clayton State didn't want me. So.
Hey, we helped you out, Chris. We helped you out.
Yeah, thank you. He was a good one. So.
Hey, I think I might have been gone by then. I can blame all the people who were there after me, right? So, man, that's crazy. So you with your time out that you had, X, does that help you think, to relate to some players on your team better? You know, you had some time away from ball where you kind of were crawling just to get a chance.
As far as like relates to my players, like who I played with in North Georgia, or like now?
Now, like guys you coach that are just wanting an opportunity. I mean, you were kind of that guy for a couple of years.
Yeah, so I mean, I tell everybody, you know what I'm saying, you're going to get an opportunity, you know what I'm saying, you just got to be ready when it presents itself. You know, even like my kids that I coach now, like even though they don't play as much, you know, it's going to come a time where, you know, your number's going to get called. You just got to be ready. Even at North Georgia, I wasn't supposed to start ever. You know, it's supposed to be Jay Anderson, and he got hurt. And so I started, and then, man, administration, man. So yeah, so he got hurt, and then I ended up getting some minutes, and I ended up starting. And then I just told myself, I'm like, man, he's not getting it back. So they had to change some stuff around in the lineups to play both of us, you know. So.
Well, that's awesome. There were so many good players at Morrow during your time, but I think you stick out in my memory the most just because of your path. I think it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, you stick
see, that's the thing. At Morrow, I didn't even play. I was at Mount Zion before. I did a special permission, like from the county, to play. So GHSA, they ruled me ineligible.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't play. You know, like my last year, and then by my senior year, I was just like, you know, forget it. And then I still just tried to get in junior college and things like that. So, yeah.
What a path. What a path.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bo.
All right. And last but not least, the guy that ties it all together, Chris Faulkner. Chris, if you tell everybody your path and how you got to now you're in that important desk job.
Right. Well, you know, you said everybody's path is through obscurity, and I think that's all of us, really. I actually started out, I played 4 years at North Georgia. Well, through a couple of knee injuries, I probably played 2.5 out of that 4 years, but started out wanting to be a computer science major and a computer programmer. And after Calculus 1, I started having some doubts, and after calculus 2, there were no more doubts. I didn't need to do that. So I switched over and became a physical education major. Got my degree in PE and certified to teach. And really at that point, I had no real desire to be in college basketball. My goal was to get an assistant job at a high school and then ultimately be a head high school coach. And I couldn't get a job. It was June or so of that year after I graduated, and didn't have any job offers. And Randy Dunn called me and said, "Hey, Jeff Steele, who was our grad assistant the year my senior year, Jeff Steele had just taken a high school job at Johnson High School, being Ken Martin's assistant." And Coach Dunn said, "Hey, we got a grad assistant job open. If you want it, I'll give it to you. It pays $5,000 a year." So I took that job, and like I said, really didn't want to do it, but ended up taking that job. Really loved the recruiting part and loved the college part of it. So really, started enjoying it. And then all of a sudden we get a full-time assistant position. Coach Dunn puts me in the full-time assistant position. 4 years later, I ended up being the head coach at Piedmont College, and stayed there as a head coach for 6 years, and then came back to North Georgia in 2003 and coached for another 16 years. And then just recently, a year and a half, couple of years ago, stepped away from coaching into more of a administrative and fundraising role for the athletic department. So yeah, things, I always say, if you tell God your plans, he'll laugh at you. So that's definitely the case with me, for sure.
So when you were computer science and you figured you're going to make the big bucks, how did that go over with that first job offer of the high dollar of $5,000 for the year?
Well, that wasn't exactly the big bucks I was thinking about there, but yeah, it's I always tell people, college basketball, and I know Bowles, you've been in it before, Corey's still in it, Jason, you've been in it. There's not the front end of college basketball is not a lot of money at all. I mean, you really, really have to pay your dues on the front end right there. So yeah, and I know even at the high school level, my mother was a high school basketball coach. So I've been around it basically all of my life. You don't get into coaching for the money. There's no doubt about that.
All right. Well, let's get this thing started. We're going to ask some questions. I'll start off with one, and me and Bowles will just rotate back and forth and kind of ask some questions about North Georgia and just you guys in general. But my first one would be, your biggest, and I'm going to eat for each guy, your biggest memory in a game at North Georgia. What was your biggest memory? Now, obviously, Faulkner and Gibson, you coached a little bit there, so you may have one as a player and a coach, but what's your biggest memory? Whether it was you scored a bunch, you won a big game, maybe it was even a bad memory, you lost a big game, or maybe it was something going on in the dorms, or it might be something out in left field, but go ahead and run with it. We'll start with you, Joe. You start us off.
I'd say, I think it has to be the championship game from our senior year, Jason and I senior year, and it was Rossre's junior year. Winning that championship at home, I guess that was 96, was probably, I mean, that place was electric, and, Bruton Parker didn't have a chance that night. We played so well, and we had a really good team, and we just got progressively better as the season went on. And that night was kind of the culmination of that, just seeing that group come together. And I mean, we were really good that night. That's one of those nights as a player when you say, you wonder if your team can play any better than we played that night. And that probably sticks out in my mind more than anything.
What about you, Ross?
It wasn't the championship game. It was the semifinal game.
That's true. Yeah.
We was down to Berry College with about 7 points with about 30 seconds to go.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
we I mean, man, it just some events. We got steals, we got rebound. Had a freshman hit a three. I'm probably one of the worst free throw shooter on the team. Had to go to the line, hit two to take it to overtime. And
That's true.
hey,
Yeah.
and we went into overtime with Berry College. I think we was losing again in overtime, and came back to win. That was probably one of the biggest events for me at North Georgia. And besides Joe running Coach Dunn over on the sideline a couple times too. But that semifinal game, being down and coming back, Barry was celebrating and everything. And like I said, the championship game, I don't even remember that. It was a blur. Yeah.
What about you, Gibson? What's yours?
Yeah, they're right. That whole tournament was such a fun. It was a great time. We beat Emmanuel in the first round, and then did not play well against Barry. We were really so lucky to kind of get out of that game with a win. They already had kids off the free throw line. They were celebrating. I mean, I think they had pretty much. They probably already made reservations for that next game. And Vince is right. I mean, there's so many things that went right in that last minute to 30 seconds there that gave us a chance to get it to overtime. It almost never went to overtime. I mean, Jimmy Johnson's the most famous official in North Georgia history. I mean, he called a ball out of bounds that Chris it had to be, inbounds a little bit, but it was on the line.
3 feet. It was 3 feet inbounds, guys. It wasn't close to the inline. So
we, got the ball back, ended up, making enough shots to get us, into the having a chance.
Now, hold up. Let's clarify. Jason said us making enough shots. He made enough shots for us.
Yeah.
He went crazy. That's what he's not telling you about that. He made some huge shots.
Being humble, huh?
Yeah. So, okay, go ahead, Jay. My bad, man.
No, you're good. You're good. It was a fun night. We had Matt Pugh standing at the free throw line with a chance to win it in regulation after being down, like Vince said, down 7 with under 30 to go. And then, of course, the officials got together and decided against it and made us play overtime. But Nathaniel hit that shot from the corner. That was a huge shot. That was the freshman Vince was talking about. And then the Bruton Parker game the next night, I don't know that I've ever been around a game even since then where every member of the team played so well at the same time. I mean, when he said Bruton Parker didn't have a chance, he was right. They played well. It's not that they didn't play good that night. We just had so many weapons, and all of us played well, at the same time. And we were up big, and then they kind of played a little, kind of got back in it. Then all of a sudden we exploded again. I mean, we had some guys that could really play. Such a lot of good individual talent that they're right. By the time the end of the year was rolling around, we were playing really well together, which was a lot of fun. So many memories. Coaching there, probably the biggest. Richard Wehunt is a name from North Georgia's past that probably sticks out, and Richard was probably one of the better players that I was fortunate enough to be able to coach. He was a fantastic talent, and he got hot one night. And I remember it well because Coach Dunn was sick and he was not there that night. And we were playing, we had a home stand against AUM and Faulkner. Both are ranked in the top 5. And we ended up knocking off both of them. But the night against Faulkner, the night against AUM, the game went into 3 overtimes. And I think Richard scored 40 plus. But the last overtime, he hit 3 straight threes from probably 30 feet, and it just to kind of close it out. But he was such a phenomenal player, and definitely one of the ones that I enjoyed, getting a chance to coach while I was there. But that was just a good memory for me, I guess, coaching there. And we had there were so many, even as an assistant, all the times there, we had so many times that were fun. Lots of good laughs. Coach Dunn provided lots of good material sometimes, and there are lots of fun times. I'll let some of the other guys talk about some of that, but there's so many that you kind of have a hard time picking just one.
All right, X, let's go to you in a different era. What would have been your fondest memory while at North Georgia?
Well, mine is kind of different. All these guys talking about wins, man. The game that sticks out to me, man, the loss, man. We lost to Clayton State in the what was that? It was the Final Four. We were the final
the semi. Yeah.
Yeah, the semifinal. Yeah, man. We were up, I want to say like 10 with like 2 minutes left. And I can't get that game out of my head. That's like one that I even now I talk to Andre about. We talk about that game at least once a month when we talk. You know what I'm saying? We talk about that game. And every time I see Coach Gibbons, man, he always stopped me. X, I was doing the scouting report for y'all, and you know what I'm saying? And they were there, and they end up having to play at Aiken. But yeah, man, that's it. I don't remember what happened. I don't remember nothing about the game. I just remember we were up and we lost. I do remember one thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say it. One person that got thrown into the equation at the last minute. But no, that's it. I don't even remember. That's the game that sticks out to me. Coach Faulkner know who I'm talking about. I'm not gonna say it, you know what I'm saying? But
All right, Faulkner, go to you. You were there a little longer probably than most, but what's your fondest memory as a player and then as a coach?
Well, there's hundreds of them, literally. I think the player for my freshman year, which was actually Coach Dunn's first year as a head coach, we started out the season 6-0, and we beat Lincoln Memorial at home. Back when Lincoln, they're now a D2 powerhouse, but back then they were an NAIA powerhouse. And we beat them at home and hit a last second half court shot to win the game. So I was not the one that hit the shot, but it was that was a pretty special moment as a player. And then the semifinal game that these guys talked about against Berry College, probably still the most unbelievable basketball game I've ever been associated with. It was Lenny Acuff, who's now at Lipscomb, was the head coach at Berry at the time. And they played us, they beat our butts for 39 and a half minutes, really. We were just, they had our number, and then we pulled it off right there at the end. And that's, I remember after that game walking away thinking, how in the world did we win this game? How did we do this? And then there was no doubt the next night in the championship game that we were not going to lose. We just couldn't lose that game. So, and then, of course, I only got to coach 1 year in the new building that we're in. So Memorial Hall's kind of always home to me, and where most of my fondest memories are. We had one night, Zay, you might have been playing. We played Columbus in the Spirit Night. And Spirit Night was when all the fraternities and sororities came out, and just it was literally in the old gym in Memorial Hall when we had Spirit Night. It was like Cameron Indoor. It was just absolutely crazy. We ended up beating Columbus in a really close game late. Students rushed the floor, ruined my suit. I had all this body paint all over my suit and all this kind of stuff. So those, as far as games go, those are probably the three that stick out the most in my mind. But just, and Corey, you and I talked a little bit about this yesterday, and I think Jason and I have talked a little bit now that I've been away from coaching a little bit, that the fondest memories I really have are just the silly things, cutting up in the van, going down the road, and just funny things that happen in the locker room and those kind of things. We probably don't have time to tell all of those stories because there's tons of them, but those are the things that probably stick out in my mind the most. And obviously, the relationships with everyone that you develop as well.
It's funny, Chris, guys talking about the Berry game, and Lenny is like one of the basketball geniuses, I think, as far as his ability, particularly coach offense. And his assistant, Kevin Carroll, who some of you guys know, Kevin was recruiting one of my players last year. And, and I brought up that Lenny was coaching at Berry when I played, and he said, Kevin asked me, says, were you part of that game? And I was like, wow. He says he still talks about that game to this day. He talks to their team about one night I lost a game up 8 or 7 or 8. Well, I think it was 8 with 32 seconds left is what it was. And he's not gotten over that game.
And I think they
You
were
know,
on.
Kevin told me that. Kevin says he still talks about that game to this day, and that was over 25 years ago. You know, so it's crazy how that particular game still sticks out. So,
Well, y'all's good memories. Chris is talking about Spirit Night. Well, I played on the other end of a Spirit Night when I was playing at LaGrange, and I can tell you it wasn't fun for a visiting team. So with all those military dudes pressing the logs and all that sort of stuff, it was a crazy atmosphere.
yes.
But for you guys, kind of changing gears a little bit. So what do you think was special about, whether it was North Georgia itself, whether it was Coach Faulkner and Coach Dunn, what was it about them that got so many of you guys into coaching? You know, with all the group of you guys that are here, and I know there's others that are in it as well. But what do you guys think was special? Was it the way they recruited, whether it was something about campus or whatever? But I guess, Chris, we'll start with you since you were intertwined through all of them. We'll start with you and go from there.
So I remember Coach Inslee, who was a longtime coach at North Georgia as well. He was actually the athletic director when I played there for Coach Dunn. And honestly, I think it started with Coach Inslee, and then Coach Dunn carried that on. Jason made a great point. Coach Dunn taught us all life. And I think that Coach Inslee started that at North Georgia. Coach Dunn definitely helped carry that on. I hope I did too. But I feel like just the example that those guys taught us as far as how you do things, how you conduct yourself, how you do things the right way. To me, that was the most important thing that molded me as a coach of, hey, you know, it's about relationships. It's about treating people the right way. Obviously I think you got to push people and be demanding of them, but that's what stuck with me the most. I mean, Jason and I both were assistants under Coach Dunn and had countless hours riding down the road with him on recruiting trips. And Coach Dunn can talk now. I mean, the man can really, really talk. But when he got you in the car on a recruiting trip, he was holding court, man. He was preaching the whole time going down the road. So, and as much as at times you're like, dang, Coach, I don't want to hear all this again. It really made an impact on me as far as what coaching can do as far as impacting people's lives.
Jason, we'll go to you next since you're another one that played and coached. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think Randy probably played a part in that in a lot of our lives. I mean, I think he was we all probably saw the good in what he did for us and other kids, and probably felt like that was something that we could all do as well. And you know, I think all of us had the common thread was we all loved the game of basketball, and then we all got taught, you know, the life lessons that go along with playing the game. And you know, I think that was something that stood out for me, was that I was able to you know, I wanted to do anything that I could do to continue to be around the game of basketball. So whatever that was going to be. And for me, I was so fortunate to have the chance to just get into coaching. And I don't know, it wasn't necessarily exactly what I thought I was going to do when I got there. And to be honest, I was probably one of those college kids that had no clue what he wanted to do. I just wanted to hoop, just wanted to play. So the fact that I got a chance to be able to continue to be around the game and coach was just such a blessing. I mean, the Lord works in mysterious ways, and he definitely worked in my life, you know, giving me the opportunity to do that. So.
All right, Coach Rossre.
Yeah, the one thing I really enjoyed about North Georgia was the camps we had in the summertime, the little kids, and just working the camps really, you know, built my love up for the game. And also taking Coach Dunn, I had his class, Coaching Theory, and just the way he would, you know, teach, the passion that he, you know, he talked about coaching, that it just wasn't about getting out there throwing the basketball, you know, going up and down the court, but just the, you know, the insight, working with kids, working with individuals, those type of things that really, like I said, sold me on coaching.
All right, Coach Dix.
Well, I mean, what he did, and Chris was right there, kind of shaped where I am right now. I mean, I became a head coach. I became the coach at East Hall because Chris knew somebody that knew somebody. I mean, I got an interview at that elementary school because the parapro there, Miss Collins, was their families were friends, and she somehow it got out that I needed a job and they needed a PE teacher, and I interviewed, and that's what started me on the path. I always wanted to coach. Probably since I was a little boy, but that's what steered me to where I am right now. I don't get the Collins Hill job if I didn't have the East Hall job, and then the success we had there. And so those principles and, being a better person, player and student, I'm still preaching those same things that were preached to me when I was in college, and I'm carrying that on even right now. So that's largely responsible for who I've become as a coach.
And Xavier, for you, I think one of the reasons I know that Corey wanted to have some young guys on here was all of these older guys that played together and coached together and all that sort of stuff. How has it continued to this next generation? So Xavier, what would you say with playing for Coach Faulkner? What led you into coaching from there?
Well, I mean, like I say, I probably always wanted to coach, but the relationships, I think all of I had with Coach Faulkner, Coach Travis, I think pushed me to coach, and then also my teammates, as well. Like half my team are coaches right now. So and like us communicating and talking and just figuring out what we wanted to do with ourselves after we, left North Georgia. That's, I guess, what pushed me to where I am today.
That's the neat part about North Georgia, and one of the reasons I wanted to do this, I talked to Joe about it early, and got with Faulkner, was you rarely go anywhere in a state where somebody didn't play at North Georgia on a high school staff. It seems like there's a bunch of them, even down here in South Georgia. And I was just so shocked because I grew up south of Atlanta and was always around south of Atlanta when I coached at Truett those 3 years when it was junior college, how much everybody in the North Georgia mountains really wanted to go to North Georgia. That was not the case at Clayton State. You went there if it was your last choice. North Georgia was where some of those kids were dreaming of going and playing ball. So it was kind of neat to see when I was up there. And you can tell talking to you guys when you get there, man, it had a special effect, and still resonates now, which is awesome. So my next question, kind of getting a little off topic, but on topic, I kind of want to hear, so we're hearing all the good stuff. Let's get some of the crazy stuff now. I've heard a lot of stories. I know y'all didn't have dorms at one time. I've heard stories about hot tubs and trailers and different other things, but I'm going to let y'all tell them. I'm not going to spill them. But give me your craziest time at North Georgia. Maybe one of the craziest stories, like you're wondering, like, if they had the, last chance you might have been on it, if this would have been aired. So give us one of those stories, that you had while at North Georgia. And we can edit if we need to afterwards, or if you need to leave out a name or whatever, you can let us know. All right, go ahead. We'll start with you, Joe. You look like you laughing. You must have one ready to go.
All right. All right. I'll tell a summer story. Okay. And Vince talked about summer camp. And every year at summer camp, something crazy would happen during summer camp. Okay. But this particular year, and these guys will tell you, this really happened this way. There was a kid in the dorm who apparently was sleepwalking.
Oh, you're getting my story, Joe.
So he got up, true story, got up in the middle of the night, and he was sleptwalk into the hallway. Apparently he had lost it. I think his grandmother might have passed. Is that true, Chris? I think his grandmother had passed not long before that, and he was still kind of dealing with that. Well, apparently he saw her in his sleepwalking and was running to her. and ran through a plate glass window at the end of the hallway. Second floor. Cleared, there's a ledge outside this plate glass window. He went through the plate glass window, cleared the ledge below, cleared the steps, landed on the ground, got up, walked back into the dorm, and went back up the stairs, and they found him laying in the lobby of the military dorm.
On the couch.
The next day, with glass still stuck in his forehead and everything. But other than that, okay.
Nobody got sued. Nobody got sued at the end of that either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I can't make that up. That happened one summer at North Georgia basketball camp. Yeah.
That's a good one. All right, go ahead, Vince. You got one, Vince?
I'll be honest with you. I ain't really have I was when I was in North Georgia, I was married, so I didn't really get out a lot or did a whole lot. I was there for schooling. But I mean, the only crazy thing, I guess my teammates, we got teammates that coach. What Clanahan coach at? Peachtree Ridge.
Yeah, he's at Peachtree Ridge now.
Yeah, Pete. I mean, he was just one of the craziest characters I ever been around, and just the things. I mean, every day. I mean, just his antics in practice, and like I remember coming out wearing long socks before the game, and just stuff like that. He one of the, I guess, the character that stands out, in my mind at North Georgia. Just some of the crazy things. And like I said, I mentioned one crazy thing. I remember when Joe said earlier, when Joe, I think he went to get a ball, he ran Coach Dunn over, and I think pretty much knocked him out. And it was just, I mean, that was one of the craziest things I've seen. So.
All right. What about you, Jason?
Oh gosh, the story that Joe told was absolutely probably the craziest thing I saw while I was there. But North Georgia was small, small town budget, didn't have a lot of money. And I remember when we first kind of started taking charter buses everywhere, we would take and go long road trips. Like, you'd go down and play somebody in Florida. We went down and played Embry-Riddle, and then on the way back, you'd play Flagler. You'd always have a couple of games on a trip. And we were coming home one night from Florida, and the company that we had chartered the bus from, it had to be like a new company or something, because it was definitely sketch. All the way around. I don't remember the name of the company, but there was two guys that went with us on the trip. And of course, they were in the hotel room together, whatever. But I remember waking up on the way home, coming up I-16, and those jokers were switching drivers going 80 down the road. Coach Dunn was knocked out over in one seat, snoring, and the rest of the guys were in the back snoring. And I thought, oh my God, we're going to crash. I mean, these guys were, and you could tell they had done it before because they were talking to each other and they had it timed right. He was like, all right, you step on the gas. I hold it. You got the wheel. You got it. And they were making that change, doing 80 down the road on 16. And I thought, my gosh, when none of us going to make it home. But and the more I coached, the longer I got in it. That's just what happens when you're, that's just small college basketball. You can't afford two buses, so you take two drivers. I mean, I guess whatever you got to do to make it work. But
that's a good one. What about you, X?
Well, when you talk about the last chance, I think my first year there, that's what we were.
Yeah, yeah, definitely so.
So I can think of, so I'm here at school too. So they have we down in Orlando. We got like 8 new players, maybe 6 or 7 old guys. So we're not gelling like it's a team, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's pointing a finger at everybody. So we, coach, he's bring us all in one room. We all sit down, we're talking it out, So this guy Jay stands up, he said, man, I'm mad at you, don't ever pass me the ball, pass me the ball, what's up? Why you don't pass me the ball? And then you can cut the tension with a knife because it's like so separated. Well, the guy comes up, he stands up, he says, well, man, you're left-handed, and you're always on the left side, and I can't dribble with my left, so I always, what I'm saying? You know, so he was like, so you know, you couldn't even be mad. You know what I'm saying? He was like, man, I can't get it over there to you because I can't dribble with my left. You know?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so that's probably the funniest thing, man, that happened. Like as far as that, but that was hilarious.
That's a good one. What about you, Chris? I know you've been there so long, you may have too many, but what's one that just sticks out over all of them?
So some background, I think we mentioned before, for a long time, really until probably the last 10 or 12 years, we had some pretty strict restrictions about being in the military program at North Georgia. So in recruiting, that's why you heard Xavier talk about we had some older players. Vince talked about he was in the Army. We often recruited older guys because they didn't have to do the Corps Cadets. They didn't have to do that. And honestly, Jason can tell you, being assistant with Coach Dunn, we probably ought not even talk about some of the things we did to get some guys out of the military. So we probably, maybe the statute of limitations have ran out on that. I don't know, but we're always trying to juggle around ways and trying to get guys out of the military. So it was honestly, later in my coaching career, it became an easier job because we didn't have to worry about that as much. But in the early days, it was tough and we had to worry about it. So I am going to tell a little bit of a story on Joe here. So Joe was in the military. Joe and his and he had a teammate, Henry Palmer, we all called Lolo, that had actually played at the Cab with Joe and came there. So usually in the military, so that within the Corps of Cadets, there's a cadet ranking system, and all the basketball players didn't care anything about getting rank or being higher up in there. So they're just, you know, kind of the lower level of the Corps of Cadets. So naturally they got messed with a good bit. So Joe and Lolo came up with this plan that they were going to this is kind of something off of MASH or something. They were going to make everybody think they were crazy. So they would get stripped down to their underwear every night and like practice karate moves and all this stuff on each other so that nobody would ever come in and mess with them. So I think it worked pretty good too, didn't it, Joe?
Yeah. Yes, it did. It did. It did. Yeah, we had machetes, samurai sword, we had everything.
Now we usually ask for pictures to show with stories, but we're gonna ask that you don't share that picture.
No, you don't want those.
No,
you don't want those.
You don't want that. You don't want that. Yeah.
I'll tell you another one. I got to tell one on Xavier too. I'll tell you this. So Xavier mentioned how he got to North Georgia, and you know he came. Ben Hicks from Ben was assistant in Chattahoochee Valley at the time. Ben had called me about Xavier, and it was one of these. I don't remember exactly when it was. It was getting pretty late, and you guys know Division II small college basketball. You always kind of held a scholarship late because you usually get a transfer during those times. So Ben had called about Zay, and we had a Division I. I don't know if you remember this, Xavier. We'd had a Division I transfer coming in that day as well.
Mm-hmm.
And, kid was from Kent State, you know, and everything we heard, I mean, really, really good player, all this stuff. So I said, well, you know, we'll just bring Xavier up that same day. We'll just bring him up. We'll work all these guys out together. Had one scholarship left, and the guy from Kent State comes in, and he's, like I said, you probably remember this, Xavier. He's an absolute turd. I mean, the guy is out there, and just we figured out within 5 minutes, hey, this guy's not going to work. And he wasn't really as good of a player as we thought either. And Xavier just played him, just totally outplayed the guy during that tryout. So I told Josh Travis, I said, man, get that kid out of here. Now, I mean, the guy was out there playing pickup with our guys, just showing his butt. Just he's not going to fit. So I told Josh, man, get that kid out of here. Get him home. I don't want to fool this kid. I'm going to take Xavier down to the office and talk to him. So I take Xavier down there, and we had one scholarship left. I end up offering Xavier the scholarship. 2 years later, Xavier tells me, Coach, I was going to come no matter what. You didn't have to give me that scholarship. So I wasted one right there. So
You wanted to play, man, you know. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Oh gosh.
All right, guys, I'm gonna. Corey likes to ask the crazy and the worst and all that. I'm gonna give you. I think a lot of the listeners of this, what's pretty cool about Corey and the podcast is that you get a lot of kind of old school guys that have been around, and to me, North Georgia is still in that NAI league. It's Georgia Southwestern, it's Berry, it's Shorter, it's AUM. So as you guys went through there, obviously the travels y'all had were a lot different than what they have now. What would you guys say was the best or most exciting place that y'all played coming through? And we'll start, Coach Rossre, we'll go ahead and start with you.
I think my senior year playing against Georgia Southwestern, I had to go back and play. Coach Barksdale had came back and took the job at Georgia Southwestern. I think I had the best game of my career. I had like 25 points and 10 rebounds. And just the the atmosphere there was just just phenomenal. So
Was
and
that
then
when
of course
did they have the cannon they shot off in that little
Yep,
gym?
had the cannon. And then of course Berry College too, because you right there, the fans right there in your face. They they saying everything, and it seemed like that gym was always hot, like they just turned the heat up for on purpose. But those are the couple of best experience I had.
I will say the small college gyms in Georgia have upgraded a lot in the last few years. Where we were with Piedmont and everybody. Jason, we'll go with you next.
I think Vince is right. I think Berry College was those last couple of years while Lenny was coaching at Berry. They had great environments. The student section was always really good. Fans were everywhere, and he's right. It felt like it was they were right on top of you, and that was a really neat environment. The rowdiest one that I remember, it may have been when I was my grad assistant year coaching, but we played at Bruton Parker on one of their senior night type deals or whatever spirit night type things. And we had a kid go to take the ball out of bounds over there right in front of their student section. And one of their kids gets, if you remember that old gym at Bruton, it was, you were sitting on church pews. The funniest thing about having Joe there is, we were all sitting on the church pews and Joe's feet were dangling like he was a little kid, off the bench right there. But anyway, one of those students ran over and got behind Matt Pugh and pantsed him in front of everybody with the official still counting. Pants are at his ankles and he still got the inbounds count on. And, Barker at the time, he's acting like nothing's going on. And I'm telling you, the officials didn't say a word. Matt pulled his drawers up and kept on playing. I mean, but it was rowdy that night there in Bruton Parker. So lots of places like that. Small college basketball back then there are lots of places that had some character to them.
Corey, I think on this show, Bruton Parker Gym has gotten more love out of this group than anybody else.
What's funny is that they talk about the old gym so much, I almost think they messed up building that nice new gym.
That's right. Everybody
always has a story about the old gym.
Well, at least they got the dirt floor out of there in the locker room. That was.
All right, Joe, you're next.
Shoot. They took probably the local ones. I'd say playing in the Mabee Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tournament was really, really a great experience because they, at that time when they were having an NAI national tournament there were people there who had nothing to do with North Georgia. They just attended that tournament because it was in Tulsa. So that was pretty unique. And, Coach Dunn had kind of laid that carrot out there for us as a goal. We were going to take a picture in front of the praying hands and we were going to play inside the Mabee Center on Oral Roberts campus. And so we did. And I went there a couple of years ago for a coach's clinic. And I actually took a picture again in front of those same praying hands. They still got them there. And the clinic, and I watched Oral Roberts practice inside the Mabee Center. So that was probably the place I remember more than anything.
All right, Xavier, we'll go you next, even though you didn't have the honor of playing in some of these gyms they're talking about.
Yeah, well, I think, let me see. For me, man, it was the trip to always to Armstrong, because we were always going to get hibachi. you know. And then always like I think I had pretty good games at Armstrong, you know, because you know, well, I'm gonna say this coach, he really didn't enforce the curfew rule, and I had some friends there, so I
don't know anything about that, Xavier. I don't know what you're talking about.
me out, man, before the game, so he didn't bother me. So, so yeah, the hibachi, and then always like at Armstrong, you know, I think it's pretty big, but it was always good atmosphere, and you know, I guess it was just basketball because like we go there, stay there for like 2 days, and then we go play somewhere else before we went home. So yeah, that was Armstrong definitely.
All right, and Coach Faulkner to tie it up.
So obviously the Bruton Parker gym just in and of itself, when Jason may mention this, but you know, I started in 1989 and nobody believes me now when I say this, but the locker room floor was literally dirt in 1989. I mean, it was a dirt floor. I think they came back in and maybe laid like some carpet squares over it or something, but yeah, I dressed in a dirt locker room floor. That was interesting. I told you guys before we started this, North Georgia and Southern Tech, it was Southern Tech before it became Southern Poly, were always big rivals when I played. So that was always a really live atmosphere there. They had some bowls. I know you spent some time there. They had fraternities that were really active at that time and stuff, and that was always a really live atmosphere. I will say now, the North Georgia Young Harris game is a really big game, and the game up there, they're in a smaller gym. Most of the Peach Belt facilities are nicer type arenas, so you lose some of that what we all used to know, the small college atmospheres. But Young Harris's gym is smaller. It's a nice gym, but it's smaller, and they put the band right on top of you. It's a pretty live atmosphere to play in also.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. It's funny, when I started at Clayton as a player, we were NAIA going D2 independent, and we would still play a lot of those NAIA programs before everybody moved. And it's just funny how all the gyms grew so much in the last 20 years. Everybody got new arenas and kind of lost some of those loud.
Everybody except LaGrange. LaGrange is holding strong.
They're still holding on. So yeah, but that kind of ruined some of the crowds that you used to get. It was always real compact back in those days. But now we're going to start it through. We always end the show without lightning rounds. We'll ask a lot of questions. These are a little bit quicker answers, but as always, feel free to tell stories or name drop it too. But we'll quicker through these. Last 2 or 3 bowls, last 2 or 3, and then last 2 or 3, and then we'll close it out after another round. Do 2 rounds apiece. Starting it off, I'm a big foodie, so I always ask food questions on here. What was your favorite place to eat while in? And we'll start right there. We'll go with you, X. We don't ever start with you. We'll start.
Man, the hibachi in Savannah. That's the best.
Well, no, a place in Dahlonega. A place
in Dahlonega. Oh, man, what's the Mexican restaurant right behind the school?
El Jimador. Is that it?
Yeah, it's the one with the bar stool. I used to see you in there, like sometimes.
Eating chips and salsas. That is what I was doing, man.
Yeah, chips and salsa, man. Oh, yeah.
All right. You, Chris, what was your favorite spot, or is your favorite spot?
So now it's a new place in town called Gustavo's, little pizzeria place, but it's a new place. I'm a little different. My favorite place in town was a Wagon Wheel. That's an old country cooking place that I like to go to. So that's probably my favorite place in town.
What about you, Joe?
Danny's Restaurant, baby. Danny's Restaurant.
What about you, Ross?
Hey, I love the chow house. I love the chow house. It was good. They had some good food. all you can eat.
That's a true compliment right there. I like that. What about you, Jason?
Caruso's. It was a little Italian place downtown. Curly Denier was our soccer coach there for a while, and he owned the little pizzeria right there. Called it Caruso's. That and Danny's. Joe, you can't go wrong with Danny's.
No, you can't go wrong, brother.
All right, now we've talked, and you guys played for some crazy coaches like Faulkner and Dunn and Barksdale, but you guys have all coached a long time. So who's the craziest you've seen on the sideline? And give us a quick story why. We'll start with you, X.
Well, I think I don't know, Coach Faulkner, man, he's pretty cool, man. He doesn't lose his cool on the sidelines at all, man. You know, pretty even throughout all the things. But I will say this though, talking about the camp, you know, I worked some of them camps with Coach Dix, man, and you know you know what I'm saying? With like 4 and 5 year olds, man. I'm like, man, who cares? Just calm down a little bit. Yeah, so I would say him.
I love it. What about you, Coach Dixon? You can say X now. You can go back at him, but who's the craziest guy you've seen out there?
When I was in, it could be any coach.
Yeah,
along the line.
High school, girls, college.
Okay. Don Richardson, who the Hall of Fame coach, was at Southwest Macon. He was coaching at Macon College, and he was smoking a cigarette during the game. So
wow.
I saw him thump a cigarette at an official one night. So, Coach Richardson, like I said, he's an all-time legend.
Yeah.
He was like the first nationally ranked Georgia high school, Southwest Macon. But when he was coaching at Macon College and I was playing at DeKalb, he thumped a cigarette at a referee one night because he was smoking on the bench during the game. So that's a little different.
That one's out there. What about you, Jason?
Gosh, I don't know. Randy was pretty calm for the most part. He would lose his cool some. Chris was always super calm. I don't know that I really played for or was around a guy that really lost it, you know, like that. And definitely nobody smoking on the sidelines. But I played for a guy, David Layton, at West Georgia my first year. And he got let go at West Georgia for verbal abuse. Back in 1993, so you can imagine the things that came out of his mouth. Although he was relatively calm in the games, practices were pretty wild. But Trice actually hit the nail on the head. Joe around here is probably the most animated coach that I've seen. Joe is the show in himself. I mean, like there's the game, and then there's Joe Dix. I mean, he is so entertaining, and his kids. But I mean, it's hard to get kids to play the way he gets them to play, you know, and he's just got that special connection with the kids, and they feed off of his energy. And but yeah, Joe's definitely, he gets after it. Love watching him coach.
All right, what about you, Vince?
It got to be Randolph Barksdale. That joke, I mean, he just, some of the things that he would say, I mean, and do during halftime after the game, even to us or the referees, it just, you know, I mean, that's the closest I came to a Bobby Knight. So,
what about you, Chris?
I think the wildest guy I've seen on the sideline is George Paredes, the guy that was at Southern Tech. I mean, he just and Coach Paredes used to coach. I don't know if you guys remember this. He would wear a green sweatsuit.
That's right.
Every game. Top, bottom, green jogging suit is what he coached every game I've ever seen him coach in, and just would raise Cain over there on the sideline. So yeah, I will tell you another funny story about a coach. I was playing, and so we played Piedmont College, and you know I later coached over there. A coach by the name of Maxie Skinner, who'd been over there for a while. I don't know if you guys remember Coach Skinner or not, but he and I actually became friends when I went over there to Piedmont to coach. A really good guy. But one night in a game at North Georgia, he left the bench, went to the concession stand, got a Coke and popcorn, and sat in the stands for the rest of the game. He was with his team. So I don't know if you can get away with that nowadays or not.
That's pretty good.
That's about like Paul Hodges eating the hot dog on the bench, isn't it?
That's right.
Yes, I did play with a guy who. What was the word, Joe? He put his blame wing wang on the rim.
Yes.
This guy could touch the top of the backboard. I played with him towards the end of my career, and then these guys played with him during a game. Actually during warm-ups, he laid the ball up, went to the concession stand, got him 2 hot dogs and a Coke, and was sitting on the bench eating them during the game.
Yes.
It was actually a Sprite with no ice.
Yeah, there you go.
Sprite with no ice. That's true. Yeah.
All right, Bowles, you go.
All right, guys. So you can pick someone in this group or you can pick somebody else. The best shooter to ever play at North Georgia.
Oh, shoot. He in this group.
You in the group?
He's in this group.
All right, Joe, you go ahead.
Jason Gibson. I'm not going to even argue with anybody about it. That's it.
All right, Coach Rossre.
Jason Gibson.
There we go. Chris.
Gibbo, no doubt. Jason Gibson. Let me tell you what about Xavier, though. Xavier's first year, I screamed and yelled at him all year, telling him he couldn't shoot the three, he couldn't shoot the three. Every time he shot one, I'd lose my mind. He would always look at me and give me this little kind of do his hand like this. The Joker ended up shooting 42% from the three-point line. So that shows you how dumb I am. I should have let him shoot as much as he wanted to.
Jason,
but Zay, I got to say, Jason's the best shooter that's played here.
There's been so many that have played there. I mean, I appreciate the love, but that's about all I could do. So, I mean, I felt like I was pretty good at it, but there were so many that could shoot it and have played there since. I mean, Matt Pugh was so good. Tanner Plemons was a heck of a shooter when he was there. Obviously, I mean, we've gone a whole podcast here, really hadn't talked about the Causeys, but both of those kids could flat out fill it up. Mark and Matt both. I mean, Richard Weehunt I mentioned before. So I'm honored for y'all to think that, but there were definitely a lot of them that played there. Xavier and Zay, I didn't get to watch you play very much, but I'm sure you were a heck of a shooter too if you shot 42%.
So this was the thing. So, you know, part he would say, man, I would shoot him in practice. He was like, man, I don't want you shooting like threes. You know what I'm saying? And I was like the trail four. I would always be sagging it at the free throw line when I catch at the top. So I told myself every first play of every game, I always got it. I was wide open. I was gonna shoot it every game. And if I made it, I stayed in. If I missed it, I came out. You know. But it was just something that said, he told me, like I say, we had that conversation at the end of the year. He was like, man, well, you know, right here it say 42%, so I guess you can shoot it, you know. But I was gonna shoot it every time at the top of the
It did feel like, Jason, for a while that every year North Georgia had some guy from Jefferson that could just score. Like it was a stretch there for a while.
Yeah, there's been a lot of good ones, you know, end up there from Jefferson for sure. So blessed.
All right, Corey, I got one more, right?
Yep.
All right, guys, this is Dan's usually the co-host, Dan Searle. So this is my Dan Searle question. Dan always likes to ask, what's the best book you've read, or what are you reading now? So we'll start. We'll go young guy on this one. We'll go Xavier. You get to start us out on this one.
Oh man, the best book I read. The book I'm reading now, man. It's man, I can't even remember the name of it. It's about the four agreements. Anybody read that book before? The Four Agreements. I forget who writes it, but it just talks about, you know, how to treat yourself and how to, you know, treat yourself so that other people are able to treat you better. And, you know, by being positive, things like that. Just a self-help book. That's what I'm reading right now.
Okay. All right, Joe.
I'm gonna start reading it today because it'll be Amazon already sent me my notification. I ordered John Thompson's autobiography, so I pre-ordered it and it's being delivered today. It's funny you mentioned that. So I'm gonna be in that pretty deep here, probably this evening.
All right, Jason.
I don't know. I'm not a big reader, but probably a book called Out of the Blue is about Oral Hershiser. And then right now I am reading a book now called The Principles of Leadership. So probably should read more. All of us probably should, but that's what we got going on now.
All right, Coach Rossre.
I'm reading a book by Russell Simmons called Do You? And it just talks about, you know, following your own path and not really trying to, you know, follow other people's path. Just do you.
Okay. And then Coach Faulkner, for you?
I'm not a real big reader either, like Jason, but I love all the John Gordon books, probably because they're real quick, easy reads. But Win in the Locker Room First is probably my favorite one. I think there's a lot of good things. We did my last year in coaching, our whole preseason, we kind of did a lot of stuff around that book there with the whole team, and I thought there's some real good stuff in it.
All right, well, that's good stuff right there. Well, now we'll go. Bowles asked about the best crowd and best place you played. I always like to ask about the worst. And I know we've kind of talked about Bruton Parker, so I guess exclude Bruton Parker because it's already been used. Give us one of the worst places you played, and it could be as a player or as a coach. You guys have coached high school and college as well and been around girls and guys. Give us, when you go to play there, you just kind of, oh boy, here we go. And it might be the Georgia Mountain officials you're about to get, or the good old South Georgia boys you're going to get on the game clock over there or whatever. But that might be a factor more so than the crowd or even the place. But give us the worst place to play. You start us off, Chris. We always let you go last, being the old guy over there, but we're going to start with you this time.
So I'll tell you this. We were actually talking about this last night with my wife's family at dinner. When I was in high school, we played at Gilmer County High School. And back then, Gilmer County had a one-sided gym. So all the fans were on one side and the benches were on the other side. So there's no fans over there. Just you're sitting up against a wall. And Gilmer County would always turn out the lights when they did starting lineups. Turn out all the lights they'd have. Well, not for the visiting team. When they did it for the home team, they turned the lights out except for one light. Back then, they didn't really have spotlights. They were just gym lights, you know. They have one light that would be right there over center court. And if you were on the visiting team, when those lights went out, you're sitting right across from the fans. You better take cover. They would throw quarters and nickels and everything you can imagine at you when you're sitting there. So you had, as soon as the lights went out, you duck your head and cover up right there. So that's probably high school gym, probably the worst. And then Bowles, you'll remember this back in the old Great South Athletic Conference days. Fisk University in Nashville was a pretty rough place to go play as well.
That one's been said on here a few times.
Okay.
So
Okay.
That one a lot of people seem to think is pretty bad.
Hey, that one, I tried to take a charge up there. I take a charge. They call a block. They stopped the game. It was the dude's 1,000th career point. So that was a lot of fun for that. I'm laying on the ground and they're celebrating.
All right. What about you, Joe?
Oh my gosh. As far as I coached at against Manchester High School a couple of years ago in the state tournament. I guess it's been more than a couple because I've been here 3 years, but we went there and we had gotten upset in our region tournament. And I told the guys we were going to pay a price for it. And that we paid a price. We're going to Manchester. We went, first of all, we rolled up. There were 4 guys playing a dice game right in front of the door of the gym. Okay, so we had to step around them and avoid the guy smoking weed sitting to the right of the gym. And I walked in and I went back into the back, and there was the referee eating dinner with the coach. So, it was just one of those nights. Of course, I got a technical, and I think the free throw count was like 40-6 or something crazy like that. Both teams pressing each other, and we got beat. That one, and going to Dade County, where, of course, Gene Durden used to coach, and a friend of mine, Glenn Hicks, was a great coach there for years. What was unique about that, we traveled into Tennessee, into Alabama, and back into Georgia to get to Dade County High School. So we traveled into 3 states to play one state tournament game. Now, we won that one. That was a great win on the road for us. But then we had to go to Manchester next. So, yeah, that was those 2 stick out in my mind.
All right. What about you, X?
Well, coaching, of course, I'm at Langston Hughes, man. That Langston Hughes Westlake game, it's a monster.
Yeah.
last day, we played them last year, man. They had at least 6 Division I players, man. They beat us by 50. The fans are all on top of you, here. And then I remember in high school, man, the Morrow Mount Zion game. It was always a blast to play in, man. The worst in 9th grade, we went to Morrow, and they weren't like as good as they were like later on, but just getting the fans on top of you and just hostile place to play.
My favorite thing about Morrow was they couldn't play music at halftime or allow the cheerleaders out there.
Yeah.
So they would just let anybody come out to the court and hang out.
Yeah.
Like the fans would literally all come down to the court and just hang out. It was like a party for 10 minutes. And then they'd start blowing whistles, get back in the stands, get back in the stands. And they'd have to come sweep and clean up. It'd be a mess out there.
Yeah.
And I said, man, I ain't never seen that nowhere. But anyway, your go, Vince.
The worst place I used to hate to play was Life College. It was a great facility, but the announcers and the fans, you're gonna get some home cooking at Life College. and my worst high school place to go, I hate going to Druid Hills. I just hate Druid Hills for some reason.
I like it. All right, your go.
Probably Covenant College when I was coaching at North Georgia and Emmanuel. That was we always seemed to, and they were always good. They always shot the ball well there at home. But it's just one of those non-conference games that sticks out. And you get to where you're like, I don't want to schedule it and go up there anymore. But always felt like we got really, really hammered officiating up there. So not good. In high school, it was Fannin County. Still Fannin County, and now that I'm up here in Dawson, that's just a couple of counties over, and they were in the same region with us for the last couple of years. And I can tell you, in the time that I started coaching at Jefferson, and then to now, that the officiating hasn't changed. And you can always tell because there's the one guy that does the JV game and always sticks around for the varsity game, and before you ever start that guy is going to blow 80% of the whistles.
That's true.
And he is terrible. I mean, it's just Charles Barkley, terrible. I mean, it's just awful. So that's the two places that I don't enjoy Fannin County now at all.
Guys, y'all have been awesome with these answers and storytelling, and it's always fun. We did one of these earlier with me and some other LaGrange guys, and it's crazy to see how you guys can be apart for so long and all those memories are still crystal clear, and I think that's one of the things that, and I think Jason or Joe, one of y'all hit on it earlier. If you're playing small college basketball, it's because you love basketball. And that's what, to me, makes this podcast special and what makes it a lot of fun to listen to. But wanted to give all you guys just one chance here before we get out of here. Just give you guys a chance for just kind of a final comment, anything about North Georgia, about coaching, about these guys that are on here with you, but anything you guys want to kind of end with, we'll give you all a chance to do that. Okay. So, Joe, we'll start with you since they were ripping on you earlier. We'll let you lead it off.
Obviously I love the place. Will always love the place. I don't get a chance to go back as much as I'd like. But what's shocking to me is just how much the area and the school have grown. When I came to North Georgia in '93, Dahlonega had 2 traffic lights, literally full. I mean, the whole town. And North Georgia was 3,000 students, and the military program was really probably the only thing the school was really known for. And what it's grown into since then, and you drive on that campus now, and I hardly recognize that campus. That's not the campus I went to school on. But it's grown and it's wonderful. The school, like I said, I got a great education there. Learned a lot of things I still use nowadays, and I wouldn't trade it for anything, man. That'll always be home.
All right, Coach Gibson.
Well, Joe's right. I mean, it has grown. It's definitely transformed into into one of the bigger, not bigger, but just campus wise. I mean, they've added buildings, and it's a lot nicer than what we had when we were there. But I mean, I feel like I having been able to play there and coach there, it holds a special place, in my heart. It's definitely transformed me into, the person that I am. It taught me a lot of things. I learned a lot of life lessons there, good and bad. And, I always felt a strong connection there. Even when I had moved on and was coaching high school, I always, felt like, North Georgia was was somewhere I could walk back to and immediately have those connections. And I still feel that way to some degree. But I think when Chris got out of coaching, I think it changed it a little bit for me, I guess, in terms of just that connection, because North Georgia's always been one of those places that, kind of North Georgia guys. Seemed like it was, from Coach Inslee to Coach Dunn to Coach Faulkner. So that connection's kind of been lost. And I don't know that I feel quite the same that I did before. But obviously it's always great to be able to talk to all the guys, Vince, Joe, and reminisce about, with Coach Faulkner and all the guys that we played and coached with. So North Georgia is a great place. Definitely shaped me into what, the person that I am today. So thankful.
All right, Xavier, let's go to you.
Oh man, well, North Georgia for me, man, it was. I appreciate, like I say, Coach Faulkner for taking a chance on me, which he didn't have to do, So that's what comes to mind when I think about like North Georgia is the opportunity I was given, and like these guys say, man, I'm grateful for that. So, yeah.
All right, Coach Rossre.
It's fun. My son, I don't know if y'all name him Rossre. He played at University of New Orleans, but he always carried around a keychain that I gave him a long time ago from North Georgia. And I always ask him why. He said, "That's where I'm going to school there, Dad, when I'm going to North Georgia." I like, okay. And just the other day, he getting we was at BYU, in different places that I've been, going to see him travel. And I said, "You still want to go to North Georgia?" He said, "Yeah, I might go there and get my graduate degree or something like that." But so to me, I guess, things that I talked about in North Georgia, the experience I had there, carried over to him.
Okay. Coach Faulkner, for you.
Well, first of all, I wish Damian would have came to North Georgia 4 years ago, Vince. I really wish it would have happened. So that would have been a lot better, man. We might have won a few more games right there. So
yeah.
No, North Georgia and all these guys, Corey and Daniel. I don't know if y'all know that. I think Corey, I'm originally from Dahlonega, so this has always been my home. And obviously I've lived here most all of my life, but I think the thing to me that makes North Georgia special is the people and the relationships that you have with the people. And I'm sure that there are a lot of schools that are like that, and there are a lot of basketball programs that are like that. I've been fortunate enough to be around for now 30 plus years of people coming in and out of this basketball program, and feel like every one of us have a great relationship. So that's the most special thing to me. I will say this, having been stepped away from coaching for the past couple of years, and Jason has as well. So I think he would probably say this as well. I would advise everybody, don't take everything so serious, and really enjoy the ride. Because looking back on my coaching career, no, I know you got to take your job serious, but I just wish that somehow we could know that when we are experiencing some of the greatest moments of our life, that we could in that moment know that we're experiencing some of the greatest moments of our life. And that's, I don't know that any of us can ever do that. But I would tell everyone, just really take time to sit back and enjoy a ride, because it is some of the best times of your life. You might not know it during those moments, but really enjoy those moments.
Well, this has been awesome. You guys are great, man.
Hey, let me show you something real quick before we get off.
Okay,
This
go
sum
ahead.
it up right here.
All right.
That picture right there says final preparation. That was given to me by Jimmy and Marie Faulkner 25 years ago when I graduated from college at North Georgia.
That's
And,
great.
Yeah, and I still got it. It's been in every office I've been in, and in this one year 25, it's still in there. It's gonna be in there too. So that's sum it up right there, brother.
Well, I
I'll
think
make
you
sure
guys
they
have-
know that too.
Yeah, all right.
Well, you guys have been great, man. I enjoyed all the stories. Like I said, when I was up there at Truett for those 3 years coaching, I really got to know Coach Faulkner. And when I think of North Georgia, you know, I think of him and Josh. They were always everywhere recruiting guys, and you know, just so many guys have moved on from them, and obviously from Randy before, and so on. But you know, what a great place and legacy that it is. And I think this show will give it a little justice, and hopefully you can get all your old teammates to watch it, and they can laugh, and they'll probably want to tell some stories we didn't tell. So we'll have to have a part 2 at some point, I'm sure. We'll do that for sure with some other guys, and get some of y'all on here with them as well. But this is a show for coaches, for those who want to coach, those who used to coach, those who are coaching, those who follow coaches and deal with us crazy coaches, and for those who hire and fire the coaches. We appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Enjoyed it.
Thank y'all. Enjoyed it.
Do it, fellas.
All right, enjoy y'all, man. Appreciate y'all's time.